Can't get enough of your favorite Bravo shows? Then check out Hot Off the Mess, a pop culture podcast from The Dip hosted by me, Samantha Bush, aka Bravo Historian. New episodes of Hot Off the Mess come out twice a week. Tuesday's show is about general pop culture, the latest headlines, whatever else is going on in my life. Well, Friday's episode is more focused on all things in the Bravo cinematic universe. Each week, I'm joined by Bravo-obsessed fans and, of course, Bravo celebrities themselves, such as Dorinda Medley, Tamra Judge, Margaret Josephs, to kind of break down what happened during the week. And it might get weird, it might get snarky, but it's definitely going to get messy. So subscribe to Hot Off the Mess wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey, Queens, are you ready to level up? Then join our Patreon at patreon.com/The Female Dating Strategy, where you can find weekly bonus content and FDS commentary on all the latest pop culture, relationship, and dating news. If you just want to listen to the extra bonus content, we have the Lurker Mode tier on our Patreon. If you want merchandise, access to the private FDS Patreon Discord, which also includes a monthly book club with FDS and feminist-themed books, as well as FDS merchandise, t-shirts, mugs, and the opportunity to discuss topics with the FDS podcast queens live, as well as submit stories for our Rose to Scrote Queen and Gnosis discussions on the podcast itself. So if you'd like access to all this and more, visit our Patreon at patreon.com/The Female Dating Strategy. What's up, Queens? Welcome to the Female Dating Strategy Podcast, the meanest female-only podcast on the internet. I'm Ro.
I'm Savannah.
And I'm Lilith.
All right, so today we're going to discuss an article that we came across in The Guardian.
It was originally published in the New York Times, actually. Sorry.
Was it?
Yeah.
So we're pulling it from The Guardian because it's not behind a paywall. So, okay. But it's a list of 36 questions, and it was first published in 1997 in an academic paper by psychologist Arthur Aaron under the title, The Experimental Generation of Interpersonal Closeness, a Procedure and Some Preliminary Findings. So the questions appeared in the appendix along with instructions that the team had given each pair a list of questions, and that they were supposed to work their way through the questions in order, asking and answering all 36 questions over the period of about an hour. And then 6 months later, 2 of the participants were married to one another.
So basically, there's these 36 questions, and the theory, at least, is that if you ask these questions to somebody, that you'll fall in love. And me, I've always been very skeptical of this, mainly because I was reading through these questions, and I'm like, if I were to ask this on a date, it would just feel really forced and weird. And secondly, if they gave the wrong answer, I'd probably next them. So I'm skeptical. So we're going to break down these questions from the FDS perspective and probably answer it ourselves. And maybe you'll fall in love with us. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, I don't think these are like first date questions. I think they're meant to be asked whilst you're dating. Because I've done like a similar exercise with a guy I was dating at the time. It definitely wouldn't be appropriate to do it on a first date. Definitely not.
Yeah, not ask all 36 questions on the first date. That would be really weird. Maybe ask 1 or 2 of them on the first date and then trickle it throughout the time that you're getting to know them. But again, if they gave the wrong answer to any of these questions, I'd be like,
Yeah. But it can be really insightful, though, especially if you're trying to ascertain compatibility. Although you do need to take some of the answer with a pinch of salt, especially if it's around the questions relating to values, because they might doctor the answers a bit to sound a bit better than they are.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out, are they trying to say this is going to make someone fall in love with you, or is it supposed to like screen out people who are incompatible with you? Because those are 2 different things.
True.
They're overselling the make someone fall in love with you with these questions.
But just as an aside, though, as well, I've just been reading the abstract of the actual study, and it said that the first study found that there was greater closeness after completing the task, but the second and third studies found no significant closeness effects. So the participants in the second and third studies didn't actually get closer.
So I'm right to be skeptical then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's almost like a Love is Blind, like in 97 Love is Blind maybe, I don't know.
So should we jump into the questions? There's 3 sets of 12.
Yeah, let's jump in.
So we're going to do part 1. That's going to be set 1. So who wants to read this?
Okay, so set 1 Given the choice of anyone in the world, whom would you want as a dinner guest? Now, if he says the Marquis de Sade, just cut and run, dump, run very, very far and fast away.
Yeah, what would be some red flag dinner guests? I don't know, Elon Musk.
Stalin. Yeah, Elon Musk. I was going to say Joseph Stalin.
Kanye West.
Literally any shitty man, Hitler.
Almost any politician, to be honest, would be a red flag. I'm trying to think if there's like any politician who they could say that I wouldn't be alarmed at on some level. Mm-hmm. Maybe like Abraham Lincoln or something.
Yeah, okay. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, but I'm like, anybody else?
I'd also be suspicious if he was like, oh, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I'd be like, are you saying that because you actually believe it or because it's just what you think I want to hear kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. True.
I'm going to text my boyfriend this question right away and see what he says, actually.
Ask him like who you would have as a dinner. I guess it could be both living and alive. So I'm wondering if he picks anybody with a specific political angle, even if he said like Karl Marx or someone else, I think just picking someone from a political angle to me would be like, okay, this is a guy that's going to download all his opinions to me for the next 40 or 50 minutes.
Honestly, if a guy said Karl Marx, I'd probably want to fuck him more, to be honest, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think it depends on the rationale, because I've actually thought about this question myself, and because I was like super into Russian history, I would definitely want to interview like one of
Lenin?
like,
No.
you know, like maybe like the last, like, for example, Tsar and Tsarina. Like, I'd love to interview them or sit down with them. I mean, not so much because I agree with their philosophy, but more to understand their thought process as to why they went down the path of
Why they made the decisions that they did.
Yeah, it's like, because sometimes it can be like a curiosity thing, not necessarily because you agree with them, but it also depends on the rationale. But I would definitely probably have like Tsar Nicholas II or the Tsarina Alexandra. I would have the Tsarina. Definitely have the Tsarina. Just for the roast.
He says Jesus, you should also run. If he says Jesus, I'm definitely going to nope the fuck out as well. If he's like, I want to talk to our Lord and Savior.
Okay, should we each answer like our actual answer? So Savannah answered her question. I would say Queen Elizabeth I, Eleanor of Aquitaine, Catherine the Great, Queen Nzinga of Ndongo and Matamba. I don't know, literally any based queen of history.
I feel like I would pick someone who is very, very good at investing and then like retroactively try to make myself rich, right? Like, if that's the only thing I can think of myself doing. Like, because I'm like, I guess with the internet, you can pretty much look up everything you ever really wanted to know about most people.
But
right?
no, it's more about the discussion, the conversation, right?
Like, who do I want to have a discussion with?
I'd want to talk to the base queens of history because I want to know their strategy. I want to know how they did what they did and why, so that I can be more like them. You know,
Yeah.
A lot of history is actually very misogynistic and leaves out women, right? So a lot of these women, they never got their actual perspective out there, or, you know, their perspective is only written about from outsider perspective. I'd like to like really pick their brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess if there was some kind of or art or that you've read that was really influential, then I could see wanting to talk to that person.
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, talk to that person and really understand their thought process and how they built their philosophy or the world if it was like a fictional book like J.K. Rowling. But yeah, I guess, yeah, someone who's dead who has a book that I like, but I can't think of anybody right now. So.
Okay, so moving on to question 2. Would you like to be famous? If so, in what way?
I want to be Rihanna or nothing else. Not famous at all.
I mean, but just in the context of men, though, this is a very good question, actually, because there are some men who they might, and I've seen this happen both in my own life and in the stories of, you know, women online. How do you say it? They're almost like the Hollywood actor waiting in the wings. Like, they're just waiting for their big break in Hollywood, you know, whilst they're not doing, whilst they don't even live in Los Angeles, for example. So if he does want to achieve a level of fame, you know, it's up to you how you feel about that, but he has to be actively, you know, on track to doing that. So if he wants to be an actor, he should be auditioning. He should, you know, be, for example, living there, not be having delusions of grandeur like her dear friend on the Neat episode, you know, hoping to make it big one day without actually putting in any effort. So watch out for that.
But even then, like, even if they are putting in a lot of effort into becoming famous, I'd still probably side-eye someone like that. It also depends on what they want to be famous for. As like an entertainer, I would not want to, honestly, if a guy's not currently a famous actor, singer, celebrity, whatever, and he wants to be, I probably would just next him, because I don't want to be the like forever girlfriend of some wannabe musician or whatever.
Yeah. And also bear in mind, some men, they will want to become famous because they believe it will increase their access to women as well. So that's another thing to watch out for.
I think if anybody chases fame for the sake of fame, it's probably a red flag. Because nowadays, there's so many people that are, quote, famous because of social media. There's just tons of these like Instagram, YouTube celebrities, etc. And they're constantly doing extremely toxic things for attention.
True.
So I think that famous for being famous, or I just want to be seen types, are probably going to veer into the toxic side versus like, oh, I have a specific skill that I want to showcase to people is probably fine. Like, hey, I'm an artist. Hey, I'm a rapper. Hey, I act, etc. Like if they want to be famous for being good at something, then I see that as less of a red flag than people that just chase fame. You just don't want to be.
True.
I'm very skeptical on all the couple vlogs and couple YouTube channels because they're always toxic. Like half the reason people watch it is because the
family vloggers are toxic as fuck. Yeah,
they're toxic, right? So
oh my god, yeah,
that's where I'm like, because everybody can be famous nowadays. You're seeing what's happening to the people that want to be famous above all else, and it's not pretty.
Yeah, I guess it depends what they want to be famous for. Like, so if I was on a date with a guy who was like an engineer or something, and he's like, oh, I want to be a really famous engineer. I want to like come up with a really unique design for something and be known for that. I think that's more okay. Or say you go on a date with someone who's an architect and he's like, oh, I want to be like Eric Anderson. I want to be a famous architect kind of thing. That's good. I think that's good to be ambitious and to want to be like the best of your industry, right? But again, yeah, if it was someone like, oh yeah, I want to be famous for the sake of being famous, or I want to become like a meme or something, I don't know, that just seems kind of useless. Like, I don't know, I'd be suspicious of that.
Yeah, agreed.
But for me personally, I don't know, my views on fame, like if I were to answer that question, I used to want to be famous, but like, I don't know, especially with the podcast and everything, and like, again, I'm like not even close to being a celebrity at all. I'm like not even a B-list or D-list celebrity. I'm like a Z-list celebrity. I have like 3,000 followers on Twitter. But even with that amount, but even
have confidence.
Thank you. But no, even with that tiny amount of like, again, air quotes, fame, it's like, it makes me a little bit sad sometimes when I talk to women in like Twitter spaces or in like the book club. Some women will say like, oh, I'm just working up the courage to talk to you. And for any of you ladies listening in, if I ever have the opportunity to talk to you in real life or one-on-one on a phone call, like, please don't think that way about me. Like, I'm just like a really normal person. I just want to talk to you like a normal person. Like, it kind of makes me a little bit sad, honestly, when women are like scared to talk to me because they think, I don't know what they think, but I don't know. I wish I could talk to people who listen to the podcast like they're just a normal friend. You know what I mean?
Being on a pedestal can be uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable.
It is probably uncomfortable for most people unless they're a raging narcissist, right? Like on some level. So
yeah.
I'm just a very normal person. Please talk to me like I'm a normal person.
I accept all of your adulation. I revel in it. And
Rose like, worship me
at all. Like I said, I want to be Rihanna or nobody else though. Like I want to just
No, I don't like to be worshipped by women. I like to be worshipped by men only. Okay, because I see women as my equals. But when we have like male fans who are like, oh my god, Lilith, I'm like, okay, this is good. I like to be put on a pedestal by men. But with women, we're all on the same level. We're all equals. We're all in the same tribe. With men, no, you are beneath me. You should worship me.
But that being said, if we, I'm just gonna loosely like equate, for example, like wanting to become famous with being successful, because they often come hand in hand, not always. I think if you have a desire to be known for something, because I don't really count the social media famous for being famous thing as actual like a contribution to society, just like Rose said. But if you want to be known for something, say like a podcast or your art or whatever, and you tell your partner that, even if they're not like on board with it, as in, they may not want to be, famous in their own right or famous with you, they should still support you as well and be happy for you and not try and pull you down 10 pegs. Because my partner's the same. He's very, very quiet, introverted, is happy to be in the background, doesn't really like talking about things publicly, but he's never been like, you're never going to get there. He's actually been the opposite. They should support you like where they can, I think.
Yeah, your partner should want you to be successful. I could see not wanting necessarily your partner to be famous because that also puts a big screw on you, right? If your partner's
Yeah.
really famous, but they shouldn't obviously sabotage you. And if you become famous, they'll have to either figure out how to adjust or move. But
Yeah.
I guess I feel the same way about female dating strategy in general. Like I would want this to be successful, but I don't necessarily feel like I personally need to be famous, right? And that's because you're more looking at the impact, the positive impact on society. And then, just getting paid for your labor that you're putting in. But it's not like I need everyone to think that I'm personally the best thing that's ever happened to humanity,
So question 3, before making a telephone call, do you ever rehearse what you were going to say? And if so, why?
No, well, that's weird. Why would you do that? I don't get it.
It depends what it is, really. It really depends. Yeah. So it depends on the conversation for me. Like, if I'm going to be having, I think, a more challenging conversation, I do like to make notes of what I'm going to say, whether that's to my family, to my partner, just so I have a bit of structure, because I sometimes find it very difficult to talk about my personal feelings. So I just like to have it written down somewhere in like bullet point form, just so I can cover everything that I need to say in a way that I want to say it. So sometimes is my answer.
These days, if I'm calling anyone on the telephone outside of my family, it's a pretty special event, right? Like because of texting. So it's probably something that's more formal, like a job interview or pitching something to somebody. So then I probably write, like you said, just write down a few bullet points so I can keep myself focused and on track. And also, if you're following FDS, I generally like to have a few things I definitely want to touch on with someone who I'm talking to on the phone if I'm doing a pre-screen. Like, let the conversation kind of go naturally, but also like have in the back of my mind or somewhere. I mean, don't be sitting there like crossing shit off a list like a weirdo, but like, you know what I mean? Like, especially if you're talking to a lot of guys, like just give yourself, this is the guy that had the dog in the picture or something, so you can remember, and then keep yourself on track, and then also hit the stuff you want to talk about so you don't like get caught up in the moment and then don't actually vet the guy properly. So I'm a fan of pre-rehearsing certain aspects of phone calls, both to save yourself time and also to come off well if you're trying to impress somebody.
See, I never rehearse anything ever. Maybe I should actually start doing that, because sometimes I do tend to get off track. But yeah, no, I'm like, I just like to think on my feet. I like to just let the words flow or whatever. I don't know. I find when I rehearse things in advance, I just sound stilted and stuff. So I just like to kind of, go be improvised and stuff. But if I were to ask a man this question, and I don't know, what would be the correct answer? I can't think of one. Like,
I tend to think that if a guy is rehearsing the things that he says, he is going to work on his social skills. There's a person who's put in effort on his social skills. So I think that's a green flag.
Yeah, and also this is also the reason why, generally speaking, being face to face or talking on the phone is better than texting, because when you're texting, you have time to think about what you're going to say, whereas natural conversations are more organic and they flow better. And like Lila said, I would be worried that if he comes across as too rehearsed, it's almost like I might be thinking like, did he like buy like a load of pickup lines from the Red Pill?
Is this a pickup artist thing?
Yeah.
Romantically, that might be a little bit differently. But like on the other hand, sometimes I feel if people come and they talk to me and they're just completely unprepared for anything, I feel a little bit disrespected, right? Because it's like, hey, and then there's all these like lulls in the conversation because they haven't thought of a single thing and they expect you to like carry the entire conversation. So maybe balance there.
Yeah, there's balance. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a balance there.
But it's like, if, say, for example, he has a job interview and he doesn't prepare, then that's going to be like a black mark against him. Or if he says, I just don't prepare like for job interviews, because you should. Yeah,
the people who are unprepared for job interviews tend to stand out. And
it depends what the preparation is, though. Okay. So like, is it like researching about the company? Is it like, practicing, doing role plays so that you're practicing the questions that they might ask, that kind of stuff? That's like, I see that as like, good.
When I say people don't even remember the things that are on their own resume.
Okay, yeah, that's
what I'm talking about.
Which is their line, right?
Like doing, 5 to 10 minutes to remember what you submitted would be the sign of like you being a socially responsible person.
If you have to do that, it means you lied on your resume, right?
I mean, maybe not. Like maybe they just, case by case basis. Yeah. On that one. Yeah.
Use your critical thinking skills to evaluate if his answer sounds sus to you or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he's like trying to come at you with a hard sale, like a pickup artist or somebody trying to get you to sign up for a magazine subscription, then Abort ship. Yeah. Or abandon ship.
Yeah.
Abort mission, abandon ship.
Yeah. Okay.
Question 4. What would constitute a perfect day for you?
Ooh.
Should we answer it for us personally? I don't know, because there's like a million different answers to the question, I guess.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. Again, this is one of those, like, you'd have to use your critical thinking skills to evaluate if his answer is satisfactory to you or not. But for me personally, perfect day, wake up at noon, get up, have coffee, breakfast, spend a good leisurely time making myself like pancakes or waffles or one of my favorite breakfast foods like that. Go to the gym, pump some iron, hit a few PRs, come back, make lunch or dinner, however long that time is. At some point during that, probably take my dog out for a long walk, actually, either like before the gym or after the gym. Probably both, actually. Yeah, go for another walk around sunset and just have a leisurely chill day. That's my perfect day. Yeah. Food, gym, dog.
There's not a right answer, but there are wrong answers.
What would be a wrong answer to you?
Roll over in my bed and play World of Warcraft for 12 hours a day.
Okay, yeah. Jerk off and play Vidya all day.
Yeah, jerking off, eating tendies, playing Vidya is probably a red flag. Or anything that constitutes people doing shit for him above and beyond. Like, I want my wife to cook for me, etc. Which, okay, I guess it's not bad if a guy wants a woman who will cater to him in some way, in the sense of like if they like being taken care of. But if the entire thing is like you doing shit and them not being active participants in their life, I consider that a wrong answer.
If he said something like, we wake up together and make breakfast together, that would be cute. But if he's like, different. I wake up and you make me breakfast and serve it to me in bed, I'd be like, fuck off, double middle finger to you.
And, some guys also say stuff like a perfect, this was a lot in the BDSM community, and I think it might extend outside now as well. But they would say stuff like free use. Do you know what that is?
Oh,
basically
yeah, I've heard
where
of that.
you're
That's disgusting.
basically where you are sexually available.
You're just like a fleshlight that he sticks his dick in whenever.
Yeah, whenever he wants. So, like, your body is freely available for him to use. A lot of guys said that, like, in the BDSM community.
I hate that fetish so much.
If they say that, then yeah, run as fast as you can. He's a scrote. I'm porn sick.
Yeah, the entire premise of that fetish is that the woman's pleasure doesn't matter at all, and that she's literally just a sex object for him to stick his dick in whenever.
Yeah.
There's so many things I know now that...
Because of
Sorry, Rose.
Not just because of you, but Reddit in general. And
it's like a second puberty being on Reddit when you realize just how
honestly is.
Shit people are.
This is why people wonder why we go hard. And it's like, man, if you knew the shit that was out there, just spend like 15 minutes on Reddit. I think my perfect day would be doing something new I'd never done before, or traveling someplace I'd never traveled before. And
nice.
I love brunch. You need to start every perfect day with brunch.
Yes. Agreed.
Yes.
I think brunch is the perfect meal because it's not quite lunch, not quite breakfast. So you can have protein and fresh fruit, and it doesn't, you have something sweet or savory.
All you can eat brunch where you don't have to cook it yourself. That's ideal.
Yes. Yeah, and you can get that at a hotel, right? So if you're traveling, you can go to the hotel, have brunch, then go out and sightsee all day. I really love seeing like historical buildings and stuff like that. So to me, a really stimulating day would be going somewhere where I could tour a new city I'd never been before and just like learn about a bunch of new stuff.
I'm quite the same. So
that also sounds great.
Yeah, I'd say I'm the same as Ro. I periodically like to just book like a really, 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 really swanky hotel for myself and then spend the day exploring the city and feeling like an Instagram boss bitch.
Man, I feel lame as fuck that my perfect day is surrounded by going to the gym. Now you guys are like worldly ladies who want to travel, and I'm like, no, I just want to go to the gym and some PRs.
But you see how that's still better than anything Coomers can come up with, right? That's why if you have a lazy answer to this as a man, it just is such a red flag.
Yeah.
You know what also would be a red flag to me is if the man was like, I wake up at 5 a.m., I take a cold shower, and then I do 15 minutes of meditation.
I make confidence my bitch.
Yeah. And the guy, the hyper productivity guys, if they're
basically like those like LinkedIn bros who like make people feel shit if they like stop to take a breath.
Or a YouTuber morning routine.
Or you're lazy if you take 10 minutes to like stretch your legs at lunch.
Yeah.
Those guys.
I get up and I fat shame everyone on the internet.
And then I edit a YouTube video for my channel about my morning routine. Like, yeah. No, I hate guys like that.
You gotta step on confidence and self-esteem. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, the hyper productivity guys where it's like he's got every minute of his day scheduled out right until nighttime, including sex. He's like,
are you still sleeping? Are you lazy? That's why you're never gonna get ahead. You deserve everything that happens to you.
I sleep 4 hours a night and I schedule exactly 10 minutes for sex with my wife and not a minute more because that's all it takes for me to come and no foreplay.
I'm microdosing coffee. I'm microdosing mushrooms. I'm microdosing LSD. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, no, fuck those guys. Okay.
Yeah, that's also probably, not great. This episode is sponsored by Ana Luisa Jewelry. That's ANALUISA. Hey, Queens, Mother's Day is around the corner. Go to shop.analuisa.com/female dating to get beautiful pieces of jewelry during their special Mother's Day sale at buy one, get one 40% off.
And with their high quality jewelry at affordable prices, Ana Luisa's unique designs will make you or the wonderful women in your life feel special and shine like the stars you are, even if it's a bit late for Mother's Day in the UK. If you would like to get your hands on some fantastic carbon neutral jewelry, then please go over to shop.analuisa.com/female dating.
They release new jewelry collections every Friday, so there's always new designs. I love my temple green necklace. It's an elegant double gold chain with a malachite pendant. Make your mom's day by going to shop.analuisa.com/female dating and treat her to new jewelry pieces with Ana Luisa's buy one, get one 40% off sale. That's ANALUISA. That'll be one piece for her and one piece for you.
So, question 5. When did you last sing to yourself, to someone else? Okay, I will admit I'm confused by this question.
Every day, I sing to myself and to my dog all the time.
That's adorable. I love that.
I make up little songs every day and sing it to my doggy. I don't know why.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
I do sing, but like not often. And also, okay, not gonna lie, one of my pet peeves is people who sing in public. Like, that's fine to sing in your own home or in the shower or whatever, that's fine. But if I'm in public and someone is just singing, I just look at them like, are you mentally ill or something? Like, maybe this is just like PTSD from when I was...
What do you mean by singing in public? Do you mean people on the street who sing in public? Like,
no, busking, that's fine. I mean, just like people sitting on like the fucking bus who just decide to sing. Like, you know, just in public, like they're not buskers, they're just randomly singing. Or like, this goes all the way back to when I was in theater. I was a theater kid, right? And so I did musicals, right? Like I sang in musicals, but there was always that one group of theater kids where they just break in a fucking Les Miserables song, like randomly. Like they just like...
Why do you hate Joy, Lilith?
I don't know, they would just piss me off. And that's the thing, this is a uniquely theater kid thing to do, is to just break out into song randomly in public during your day and think that other people are going to be impressed, because other people are not impressed, by the way. Other people are just annoyed and they think you're a fucking narcissist. Anyways, that's just me.
I don't mind if a guy does this, especially if he's like really enthusiastic about music. I mean, I've dated guys like this where they randomly quote rap lyrics. They'll just be on their phone and then suddenly rapping or singing a song. I don't know. It doesn't bother me.
That's another thing, is I've dated guys who were musicians and they would just, maybe I'm a horrible person, but there have been men who wrote songs for me or about me, and I just for some reason felt extremely disgusted and annoyed, and I just like, I don't hate Joy. It's just like, first of all, most of the time their lyrics would be like sexual, so it would be like something, the magic between your thighs or whatever, like that kind of stuff. That kind of grossed me out.
Oh yeah, that's off-putting for sure.
And also would be like way too early in the relationship. So if he did it when we'd been dating, in, like Mallory, when Sal sang to Mallory, I thought that was kind of cute because it's sort of like funny in a way. But like there have been times where a man sang to me like a really like serious love song and we've been dating like 2-3 weeks and I'm like, too much too soon, buddy. Like that's just, I don't know, it feels like they're just trying to create accelerated intimacy or something. Yeah, and it just makes me uncomfortable.
Feels manipulative.
Yeah, it feels emotionally manipulative. But yeah, but maybe I do just hate Joy. No, I'm kidding.
No, I think that's fair, because I think there's a difference between like a casual singer, a casual rapper, and then like someone who makes this like a formal thing where it's part of their personality.
Right?
Yeah, and they expect you to sit down and like clap for them and stuff. And that's the other thing is if I don't, I feel like I have to sit there and be like, wow, amazing, Jeremy. What a wonderful song. You're so great. And I don't like that pressure. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like to feel like I have to give compliments, especially if I feel like they don't deserve it or if the song was bad and I didn't like it. The other thing is that with these men, if I didn't have that like over the top positive reaction, if I was like kind of like, thanks.
Cool.
If I gave like a normal reaction, like one that felt natural to me, they'd blow up. They'd be like, oh my gosh, you didn't like it? And like yell at me for not being grateful or whatever. And I'm like, I don't like this pressure. Okay. So again, I think the whole like not liking people who sing in public or not liking people who sing to me is just like a PTSD thing because of the because of the times in the past where it ended horribly.
It for your enjoyment. They're doing it for validation. So it's manipulative. Yeah.
Or for themselves. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I don't like it. And yeah, the theater kids, they sing in public because they want people to be like, wow, oh my God, you're such a good singer. Like, even
why
if they're
aren't you famous already? Oh my God. Yeah. I know.
Right? I'm like, I just want to like ignore you and just listen to fucking music on my headphones on Spotify. But yeah.
It doesn't bother me. Once again, I'm biased because I enjoy just doing it because I'm just happy. Like, I feel like I don't necessarily expect anybody to react. And I think that's the difference. I just do it because it makes me happy. But
that's cute, actually. I'd probably be chill with that, especially if people are singing to their dogs. Actually, I think that's adorable.
I've had to not do it outside because I forgot, like, oh, I'm outside the house. You can't be singing these goofy songs to your dog. And like,
so that's cute.
Ever forgotten? Like, that's weird. That's awkward for people.
But okay, if a man were to answer it, I don't know. Like, if he were to be like, yes, I sang yesterday for my other girlfriend that I'm dating right now, obviously red flag. Or if a guy, I guess the question is, when did you last sing to yourself or to someone else?
Yesterday, I was doing Beyonce with my dog, and I was like, I be getting too much puppy. Yeah, everybody mad.
That's so
Same
cute.
old doggy from the block. And I was doing a little dance because that's what I do.
Your dog's probably looking at you like, what the fuck? This is my human who chose me.
Everybody mad. Yeah.
Oh, that's cute though. Here's a red flag, actually. Men who say they don't like music. That's always a red flag. There are men out there who are like, oh, I don't like music.
Jeff Bezos doesn't like music. I think anyone who says that is a sociopath.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I like listening to music, but I like when it's like professionally produced, like, you know, like an actual song kind of thing. Acapella just doesn't do anything for me. That's just, I don't know why I'm like that. Sorry, I hate Pitch Perfect. Don't hate me. Don't come at me.
There are good acapella groups and then cheesy ones, but there are good ones. Like I was
corny. I don't know. Really, it's just like it's just me.
It depends. But no, Jeff Bezos doesn't like music, and he realized that it made people look at him like he was a sociopath. So he rehearsed a list of bands and songs that he likes just so he wouldn't appear like a weirdo. But he's come out and said he doesn't like music. And I'm like, well, that's strange.
Yeah, so totally I think it's a red flag if a man is too into music or hates music. I like a guy that's sort of in the middle, you know, like a normal person. Has a few bands that they like, that they listen to. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyways.
Okay. So, question 6. So, if you were able to live to the age of 90 and retain either the mind or body of a 30-year-old for the last 60 years of your life, which would you want?
Oh, body. Yeah.
100% body.
Hell yeah. I'd want to stay healthy.
And what does it mean, mind of a 30-year-old? Do I want to stay immature for the rest of my life? No. The point of growing old is that you learn things and you become wise. Like, I would love to be a 90-year-old with the body of a 30-year-old, but like a super wise person.
And when they mean mind, do they mean memories, or they just mean like you said, wisdom?
Because I'm guessing like the sharpness of like, because obviously by the time you're 90, your mind also starts to decline. I don't know about this one actually, because I'm not against aging. I actually think it's a privilege that many people don't get to have. So I've never been about this whole, I want to look as young as possible. I think like women as a whole need to reject the narrative that we can't look 30 when we're 30, because you know, it's a natural, normal, you know, thing to age, in my opinion. So I don't know about that one.
No, I'm thinking of it mostly from the perspective of fitness. It's not even about looks. It's that I want to stay swole well into my old age.
True.
Okay. I don't like, as you age, you lose muscle mass, you get osteoporosis and stuff like that. I don't want to deal with all of the health problems that are associated with aging. It's not even about aesthetics. It's just about being able-bodied and stuff, right?
I don't want the mind of a 30-year-old when I'm 90, though. Like, I think that's part of it for me. I don't know. It's a tough one, but I think I would rather go with mind over body, personally.
I've seen a bunch of old and mature people, so I'm like, it's not that uncommon to be physically old and have a young mind or have never matured past a certain point. So I don't know.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't like those people.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
true.
people who are old and wise.
And wise.
If you're old, be smart, you know?
I want to be old and a burden to everyone around me. Just annoying. I'm going to pay for everything in pennies.
Pay for a check.
I'm going to pay for everything with the most annoying type of tender possible. I'm always going to use self-checkout and be confused by it. Like, I'm going to take forever at self-checkout on purpose.
Just to piss people off. Okay.
I think a red flag for this, though, would be if he says something along the lines of, I would want to have the body of a 30-year-old so I can attract younger women. That's a definite red flag, because at fucking 90 years old, you should still date your age.
Yeah, pretty much for all of these questions, if they turn into something sexual immediately, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Right? If they don't put any thought and it's always something sexual in response to this question or something that's going to boost their sexual availability or prowess or ability to get women, then bad answer.
So on to question 7. Do you have a secret hunch about how you will die?
I mean, if he says because of my heroin habit, then that's probably a red flag.
I'm actually...
Okay. No, go ahead.
I think I'm going to die alone in the gutter with a needle on my arm, then yeah. We're going to have to demonetize this on YouTube because I made too many drug references this episode.
I don't know. I don't have a secret hunch, but I do think it would be not a green flag, but I think it's a positive thing if he's able to talk about death in a mature way, because I'm actually kind of a morbid person. Like, I read autopsy reports in my spare time. I watch mortuary videos on YouTube because I just don't know why people are so scared of death, because it's going to happen to everyone, right? So if they get very, I don't know, I think you have to have a mature approach to it. So if he can speak about it in a matter-of-fact way, then I think I would like that.
I'm like, hopefully of old age.
Yeah.
Hopefully of old age, if you're lucky. Yeah. Honestly, like most of the guys that I date, they say like, oh, I'd probably die in like a motorcycle accident or doing something really like dangerous or something. I consider that maybe less of a red flag, to be honest, because that's at least somewhat honest and maybe realistic, because a lot of men do die from doing stupid, dangerous shit. And I'm not the kind of person to be like, no, don't do that, because I do stupid, dangerous shit. But anyways, but that's another conversation.
Question 8. Name 3 things you and your partner appear to have in common.
Ooh, so I'm trying to think of like a red flag answer to this. Would be...
If a guy can't answer this question, that is a big, big red flag, because, there are many, many women who are in relationships with men who know nothing about them. As in, like, they don't know their middle name, they don't know their hobbies, their favorite color, stuff like that. So
birthday, nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, he should be able to articulate the reasons, your commonalities, basically, because if he can't, that's a high indicator that he's only with you because of what you do for him and not necessarily like because he agrees with your commonalities and he likes your mind or all your values, basically. So he should be able to answer this question, well, depending on how long you've been together, but that let's assume that you're several months into the relationship, he should be able to answer this question with ease.
Yeah.
What I would be worried about is men who project personality traits on you. That to me is just, I can already just feel that happening, and I'm getting like the hairs on my neck are standing up, because I'm like, I've been with men like that where they describe a whole personality that you don't have and like a whole set of beliefs that you don't have because they project certain traits on you. So I would be looking for them projecting personality traits or things like that onto you, as far as like, I like you because you're like X. And it's not that you're really like that. It's just that like they need that. So they're putting it, or they'll say something like, I like you because you don't criticize me like my last girlfriend or something like that,
Yeah. Another red flag answer would be, so it's very common, for example, for narcissistic men at the beginning of a relationship to have this sort of fantasy about how you are as a person. Like men, not just narcissistic men, but a lot of men have this idea at the beginning of the relationship. And Lundy, and why does he do that? He talks about that as well, how, at the beginning of the relationship, they have this fantasy of the ideal woman. And because they don't know anything about you and they haven't bothered to try to get to know you, they just assume that that's what you're like. And then over the course of the relationship, as you begin to show that you're your own person and not his fantasy, that's when he starts to get angry with you or being abusive, because he's like, well, you're not matching up with my fantasy, and he blames that on you rather than his own fantasy, right? So if I were to ask this question and he were to say something like describing personality traits that are not mine but are more likely associated with what he considers his ideal woman,
Yeah.
I would run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's scary.
Like, well, you're blunt like I am, or something like that. Or they're trying to talk about you as an extension of themselves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the things we allegedly have in common are the things that he likes about himself that he's trying to project onto you.
If you were to say like, oh, I like how we all like, I like how we both have the same hobbies or something like that, or like how we both have similar like political values or something, I would consider, and those are actual traits that I have, I would consider that a green flag answer.
Yeah. Okay. Question 9. For what in your life do you feel the most grateful? I would definitely give like a Miss World answer. So thankful for my family, friends, career, God.
All of you.
I am so grateful for my 2 podcast hosts. No, but actually that's true. That's not even like a fake answer.
Oh,
I
it's
am
true,
actually very
yeah.
grateful for you ladies. So
Big
yeah.
heart. I think I'm just happy to have my health. Right? Like, I
Yeah.
think, I'm trying to think of what a red flag answer would be. So I think in general, if you're just happy, it's showing an attitude of gratitude is in general a positive green flag. I think the only way you could really screw this question up is if you...
I'm really grateful for my mom who serves me hand and foot or something like that.
Yeah, is if it's just, if it's like a dig at somebody.
Or if they couldn't name anything, that's the other thing.
Or even if they are grateful for someone who does really nice things to them. I don't even see that immediately as a red flag. As I'm trying to think of something.
If it's a woman, I can see that as a red flag, but yeah.
Yeah, as a woman, if it's a woman doing shit, yeah. It's certainly better than looking at it as an entitlement, but it's still a red flag that he sort of allows this to go on, especially if he knows it's one-sided.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a case-by-case basis thing. Yeah, I'm like Ro. I'd say the thing I'm most grateful about is the fact that I'm just physically and mentally healthy, and that I have lots of people in my life who love me and who I love, and my dog, and yeah, that's about it, actually. Although I do consider my dog a people sometimes, so...
A people.
Yeah, on the same
Dogs are
level of
people,
a
too.
people. Dogs are people. Yeah, anyways. Question 10.
Question 10. Yeah, question 10. If you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be?
Well, this is loaded as fuck.
Yeah, I would caveat this question and say, depending on how long you've been together, be very, very careful about oversharing.
Yeah.
You don't want to say, like, even if your parents are trash, don't tell them your parents are trash, because some men, they like to target women who they feel don't have strong familial connection. So be very careful with this, with how you answer this, depending on how like long you've been in like together for. Like, make sure he's vetted first before you start.
Yeah, like I wouldn't go into like, oh, I wish my parents weren't narcissists or something like that. Like I wouldn't say that on a first date. I wouldn't want a man to know that. And even if we'd been together a long time, I'd probably be very cautious about this. I've been asked this question myself. And honestly, I don't think I'd change anything about the way I was raised, even though there were a lot of fucked up things that happened to me when I was a kid. And a lot of it was traumatic and shitty and abusive. I really like the way that I am now, and I've learned a lot from that. And I've managed to take all those shitty experiences and, you know, make a better life for myself. And I think that if I'd been raised differently, I might have turned out to be a different person. And I don't know who that person is, but I'm really happy with how I am. So I don't think I'd change a thing, honestly.
Yeah.
I think that's a good answer. I think that's a good high value answer for people that come from difficult backgrounds, because I know a lot of great men who had very humble and traumatic beginnings, and what has made the massive difference in them becoming high value, whereas a lot of men use it as a perpetual excuse, is the lessons they took away from it and the amount of responsibility they took over their own life. So I don't necessarily think this is I don't necessarily think that even if they divulge any type of trauma or anything like that, that it's necessarily bad. And I don't necessarily think you should automatically judge everybody by how their parents are, especially if they're aware that they come from a fucked up circumstance. But how he answers that's going to change. That's going to determine whether it's a red flag or a green flag. If he's still blaming his parents for everything that's ever happened to him and he's like 35, that's not good. But a guy that's like, man, this happened. It really made me feel this way. I dedicated my life to building a better family for myself or whatever else, and these are lessons I took away, and this is how I'm building my future forward, then I think that's fine. I think that's actually a massive green flag, because you can see that this is a person who's taken away lessons and is willing to work on himself and has worked on himself.
Also, I'm really proud of the fact that, you know, women send me DMs on Twitter, on Reddit all the time saying like, oh, I really relate to what you said about, you know, your parents, or about, you know, the trauma that you went through. And it really inspired me to do this, go to therapy, break up with my abusive boyfriend, yada, yada, yada kind of thing. I really am proud of myself for the fact that so many women have taken my writing or taken the podcast and, you know, made a better life for themselves, or have, you know, I like the fact that talking about my trauma has helped women with their trauma. And so if I hadn't been through that trauma, I might not have been able to help those women, right? And so in a fucked up kind of way, I'm almost like glad that all those fucked up things happened to me, because by processing it with other women, we're all able to become stronger. But yeah.
Agreed.
I don't know if I have a contrarian opinion, but I wish some of the shit that happened to me hadn't happened.
True. Maybe that's just cope. Maybe that's just me being wow, a lot of fucked up shit happened to me, but I'm telling myself it's good.
But it's like 50-50 though. So I definitely see your perspective, because there's some things where I'm like, man, I'm definitely a different person because this happened, but I'm so much the lesson there, right? It all comes down to the lesson when it comes to like
if a guy was like, oh, my parents were abusive and that's just made me fucked up for life, and now I'm permanently traumatized and I can never do anything with my life because of this kind of thing, I'd be like, really?
Yeah, it's the random shit that gets me. It's the random shit that makes me like, damn, what did I do to deserve this? You know, just like shaking my fist at the universe, you know? True. But then you realize like sometimes things are in your path because they do help you learn and they do help you grow. And there's other shit where I'm like, well, that was random as fuck and that sucks. And all I can do is just pick up my stuff and pick myself up by my bootstraps and keep going. But so I'm like 50-50 on that one, but definitely see your perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, this question, if you'd asked me this maybe like 5 years ago, I would have probably had a different answer, just said everything. But as my parents have sort of, because especially in African households, you grow up believing like your parents are like a god, that they can do no wrong. But as I've become an adult and my parents have started to realize that they don't have to be perfect for me and that they are human, that they make mistakes. Could they have done things differently? Yes. But I do believe that they did the very best they could with the knowledge that they had at the time. And, you know, I extend that grace to myself when I mess up. So why wouldn't I extend it to them? Was my childhood perfect? Absolutely not. And they, in hindsight, they could have done, you know, things a lot better, but they still did the best they could, I think.
Well, your parents are the global standard. It's actually really, really unusual. You know what I mean? Like, because my parents are like that too, but it's like, I think it's actually really unusual to have...
I am not telling them that, ever.
It seems mostly a Western white phenomenon, to have parents that more or less treat you as your own person, first of all, not like an immediately extension and reflection of them. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to like describe it, but like different from like, like your parents aren't infallible. Like there's not an instilling that like authority is automatically to be respected, or that your parents are infallible. So it's not as an authoritarian in Western culture, like modern Western culture, as it is in other parts of the world, which is the standard. It is pretty authoritarian.
Yeah, exactly. So, 11, take 4 minutes and tell your partner your life story in as much detail as possible.
No, I'm not doing that.
I think it depends.
If someone asked me for my life story, I'd be like, you get to learn that over a long period of time in increments. I'm not going to tell you the Cliff Notes version of my life story. Fuck you for even asking me that. If someone asked me that, I'd be offended. Like, honestly.
Like, it's a long, winding, harrowing tale of treachery and deceit. You know, like, yeah, I think it would be, again, I think this is good because it forces people to make choices about what they highlight about themselves.
Also, what are you going to do to set a timer?
The choice you would have to make about the sort of things you would tell people as a defining part of yourself would say a lot about who you are. So I think this is a good exercise. Like if you were like, if it was nothing but all the things that happened to you and you were like straight in victim mode all the time, then you would you would maybe make the assessment that this person has not had a chance to heal from whatever's going on, and that would maybe affect your ability to, or affect the way that you relate to them, or maybe you'd have to change the way you relate to them. If they were only talking about their, I conquered everything, I've never failed, then you'd be like, this person's a raging narcissist, you know. If, especially like guys who feel like they're quote self-made and they started on third base, those guys are the worst. Because I've, you know, if I talk to a guy and he's like, well, first I went to this Ivy League school and then I conquered this thing and I'm a self-made man, and he doesn't have any self-awareness about certain things that gave him privileges over others, then I would consider that to be a guy who just likes to brag and boast and hype himself up larger than he actually is.
I don't know. I feel like a good answer in a guy would be just like a sort of normal, like, well, I was raised in this town and my parents raised me to be this way. And then I went to this school and I studied this. And then I started this job at here. And then we did this and this and this. And then blah, 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 blah. That would, I would consider a pretty green flag answer, just like listing the events in his story. But if a guy was like, first of all, like, maybe the reason why I have my back up so much about this question is because if I told the actual truth of what happened, it would be like way oversharing, like a lot of information that I'd rather just keep to myself kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I don't like to be put in a situation where I feel like I have to lie or like lie by omission. And so, you know, in order for me to tell that story, I'd have to like leave out a lot of things that I feel are important, but I wouldn't want to tell that to someone that I barely know. Right. So
I just look at it like you're giving them the director's cut of your life.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't think it's bad. Like, there's a bunch of bad shit that I would probably edit out, but I don't necessarily think it would be by omission, because I would be like, well, only if I felt like it was legitimately affecting me right now. Otherwise, I'd be like, well, I left this on the cutting room floor because it wasn't essential to the story, right? If you don't have to be your trauma,
but it is essential to the story, you know. So I don't know. I'd probably, I'd just be like, oh, I was born in this town and like, you know, and then I went to this school and then I studied this, and then I like, that's the actual answer that I would give, right? If I didn't want to overshare.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like I'm leaving so much important stuff out of the story. So I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm offended by that question. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Lilith, actually. I remember when I was getting to know, like my partner, he's very anti-oversharing. So over time, he's opened up a lot more. And I think that's probably a much healthier approach than just diarrhea of the mouth early on. Especially because, like, this is a generalization, but women tend to kind of take this, I'm going to be vulnerable, and see that as a mechanism to get closer to a man when they don't see it the same way. Mm-hmm. So you sort of have to, you have to guard yourself, basically. And I think with this question, again, if you're vetting and you're getting to know somebody, they should know quite a bit about you over time, and that should happen organically as opposed to you just, like, dumping on them in a very short space of time. Question 12, and this will be the last question for this section, this episode. If you could wake up tomorrow having gained any one quality or ability, what would it be?
Invisibility. I would kick people in the balls and steal everything. I'm not kidding. I would get invisibility and I would steal shit. I would go to the richest parts of town and steal everything that wasn't nailed down and kick all the people I didn't like in the balls. And I don't know why God hasn't given me this power yet, because it would just make me so happy.
You know what's funny though? If you ask men and women what they would do with invisibility, men, I mean, they might not say this, but they definitely be thinking like, oh, I'd go into women's locker rooms and watch them naked or something. Like, men would almost always use it for something sexual. Women would almost always use it for like, oh, I want to walk down the street without being catcalled, or I want to steal something.
Yeah.
I love the mental image.
Definitely pro stealing shit.
I love the mental image of bro like walking down the street, or just like finding someone she doesn't like, kicking them in the balls, and them just being like, like, I have no idea.
I would commit so much crime.
Bro, our criminal mastermind.
Criminal mastermind. I'd be sneaking into bank vaults. It would just be everything.
Yeah.
I would like the ability to pick things up really quickly. Like, anything I wanted quickly? To do, just pick it up, like, quickly, because you know how some people are just like prodigies like that. I'd love that ability.
I had the mental image of being able to physically, when you said pick things up quickly, I thought it meant like, oh, I could just pick up weights really fast and just be super strong. Like, no,
just pick up 150 kg. No, I mean like concepts, ideas, like learning, just to just have like a quicker mind. I think sharper mind. I know that's quite like dull, but I feel like if you can do that, then you can do like pretty much anything in half the time.
I wish I could just wake up and just be a trillionaire. That's the quality that I would want, is to just be extremely rich. That's like the one quality that I would want. Or
Is wealthy a quality?
is born wealthy a quality?
Yeah.
I think yes. But that's only if I had to answer of like non-superhuman. Like my first question is like, in this question, can I say like superpowers or like supernatural things like Rose invisibility? Or does it have to be something like real?
I've thought about this for years, by the way. So although this question just came up, this is like something I've thought to myself. If I could have one thing, it would be invisibility for sure.
I wish I could fly or like teleport. That would be I wish I could go anywhere at any time for any reason. Because I'd use that probably for traveling. Like that saves so much money on airfare. Another good one would be, I wish I could read people's minds, although I don't really need that as much because I'm pretty good at reading people just based on their facial expressions and body language. Another good one would be like telekinesis, like being able to control objects around you, that kind of thing. Those are some other good qualities. But yeah, I don't know what.
See,
would
if you're invisible, you can just like be invisible and pick that shit up, right? And then no one would know. I feel like with telekinesis, like you'd have to always do it privately because then people would suspect. I want something.
But then people would see. I would not hide it. I would want people to know that I was telekinetic, and then just have like godlike powers.
Okay.
But then again, I'd probably get kidnapped by the U.S. government, and they'd do weird experiments on me or some shit.
Oh, for sure. They're all about that.
Yeah, I want to keep that to yourself.
Yeah.
So what would be some red flag answers? Again, I think like Ro rightfully said, anything that will increase his sexual access to women is a red flag.
If a man said invisibility, I'd be like, nope. If he wants invisibility for Rose reasons, I'm like, okay, that's hilarious to me, so I'm cool with that.
Yeah, if he wants to steal, I think I'd be like, all right, then. Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah. Very important, though. I would want, if he were to say that, I'd be like, yeah, like what Rose said, I'd go to the richest neighborhood and steal anything that wasn't nailed down. Because again, fuck the rich. I would want to steal all of their shit. I wouldn't want someone who would like, I don't know, just like vandalize, shit from like normal hardworking people. That's like rude. But yeah. What are some other red flag answers?
I use my powers for good. I'd only kick people in the balls if they were bad people.
Yeah, exactly. Same. Honestly, I'd be like a Robin Hood. If I had invisibility, I'd be like a Robin Hood figure. I would steal from the rich and give to the poor because, again, that's just how I be. But also give to myself because I'm also a little bit selfish like that. So there's that. What else? What are some red flag answers in a man?
Yeah, anything sexual for sure. And then I think maybe if it's like
if he says something like, I wish I didn't have to work, red flag.
Exactly.
This has actually happened to me before because I used to tell men that I wanted to get like a government job where their spouse couldn't work, and the number of them that were like legitimately happy at the prospect of not being able to or not having to work, because you can have your own like business but you just can't work for a company, conflict of interest. And it was actually a good vetting strategy because if they were happy that, I don't have to work if we get married, they were nexted because that's just lazy.
Why is that a thing? Why would that be a rule? That's so weird to me.
I mean, if you're working as like, say, a diplomat or an ambassador, it would be potentially a conflict of interest if you get a job in the country that you're as ambassador for. So say like you are the ambassador to the US and you're meant to represent British interests. If your spouse then works for a company based in the US, it's a conflict of interest because you have a vested interest in the US and the UK at the same time, if that makes sense.
Okay, makes sense.
So that's why they often but they can do consultancy or work for themselves, but they're often like, and because it tends to be that when the woman is the diplomat or the ambassador, the man ends up being like the stay-at-home parent, and a lot of them it's not like the opposite to main character syndrome, but they feel somehow about it because they feel very sidelined because obviously she's the important figure and he's just like her plus one. So this is like way off track, but I came across a guy who was basically wrote a whole blog complaining about how he stays at home and is not important whilst his wife is.
See, I would see it as a green flag if the man was like, oh, if you want to be a high-powered woman and I just stay at home and support you and raise the kids, as long as he's the kind who actually would do a good job raising kids and not just be a useless scrote who jerks off all day and plays vidya, or as a green flag if the man wanted to support my career. But yeah.
Well, he wants to be actively raising the kids, but if we don't have kids, he's getting a job, like side hustle or something. Like, he's not just gonna...
Mostly because idle men are just useless and kind of low-key dangerous to society, but...
Neat!
Yeah.
Neat. I think that should actually be like an alarm, like, you should be able to press, like, if they're saying bullshit.
That sound effect?
Yeah.
Someone turn that into a TikTok sound.
We need to embarrass these fuckers, honestly, into actually doing something. So yeah, but yeah, that's the first section done. We'll cover the remaining 24 in future episodes. But yeah, let us know what you think of these questions. Have you asked similar questions to a partner or an ex-partner? Yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments.
And that's the show. Check out our website, thefemaledatingsstrategy.com, as well as our Patreon, patreon.com/thefemaledatingsstrategy for weekly bonus content, merchandise, Discord, book club, etc. And also following us on Twitter at femdatstrat and our Instagram at _thefemaledatingsstrategy. Thanks for listening, queens. And for all you scrotes out there, you gotta make confidence your bitch. Die mad. See you next week.